Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making some cute little ducky cards using a brand new die set from Spellbinders. This is the Duck with Umbrella set, and it's a brand new release that Spellbinders just came out with. You can see here that it has all kinds of little decorative add-ons to make the duck have a raincoat, a rain hat, even some little bows that can be used for the hair or for a bow tie. And of course, it also comes with an umbrella. All these pieces make this cute little ducky really come to life. So we're going to start making this card by creating our background. I'm using the Layered Raindrops stencils from Simon Says Stamp. This set includes 2 stencils, and I believe that this stencil set came out last year, so it's a little bit of an older set. But nonetheless, it's a great set to make our to add some raindrops to our background panel. So I'm just figuring out exactly where I want the raindrops to be, and I'm using some Easy See tape to hold my stencil in place on the background. I'm going to come in with some Tumbled Glass Distress ink and an ink blending brush, and I'm just going to lay down a light layer for the raindrops. So I started working on the raindrops, and then I realized that I do want to continue this stencil to the bottom of the paper, but I don't want to accidentally kind of make a line if I go off the stencil. So I'm going to bring in some mint tape now and tape off the bottom of the stencil, which will prevent me from making that line, which would kind of ruin my, my background. So I'm going to load up my brush again and continue to ink blend my raindrops. So I got a good amount of ink down. I'm happy with the way the raindrops are looking. So now it's time to move the stencil to the bottom of the paper and continue ink blending some raindrops on our background. I kind of like to make sure that my raindrops are staggered. The different sizes of the raindrops really helps create that look. And so I'm going to continue that when I carry that stencil down to the bottom. Now I'm going to bring in that same tumbled glass, and I'm going to ink up the entire black background to tone down that white and kind of deepen the raindrops. So now it's time to move on to our die cutting. So I'm going to use some pieces of cardstock from my stash, some scrap pieces, and this is the kind of project that is perfect for using up your scraps. So I'm going to use the handle of the umbrella as a snorkel for my duck. So when you get new sets of dies, look at your dies and try to reimagine how they can be used. Everything has more than one use, so you can look at your items and see how you can change them up a little bit and create new things with those same dies. So I got all my pieces cut out, die cut out from the scraps of paper. Now I'm going to take a little corner, little rectangle of a piece of paper here, and I've placed some glue around the eye hole, and that's going to create a little black spot for my eye. Now I'm going to add the legs for my little ducky. And I kind of want them where they're kind of spread out a little bit because my little ducky is going to be like swimming. So I want it to look like his legs might be moving around, or her legs might be moving around since we got a little bow there. In this die for the duck, for the body of the duck, there is a little indentation that shows you exactly where the beak is supposed to go. So make sure you look closely for that little indentation, and then you can get the beak in the perfect spot. I'm going to use my reverse tweezers to hold that in place, and while that glue dries and adheres, and my little ducky is it's really starting to come to life. There is a separate wing for your duck, and so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue towards the top of the wing, because what I'm going to want for my duck is I want the wing to kind of pop up a little bit. So I'm just going to put glue at the very top. So this is the handle or the stick of the umbrella. So I've cut that out of black glossy paper, and I'm going to trim it down just a little bit to kind of get it ready to be used as a snorkel. I'm going to add some vellum to the bottom of my paper, and the vellum is going to be serve as like our water. And so I'm going to freehand cut some waves, some wide waves, as a matter of fact, at the top of this vellum, so that we can wrap our inked up panel with this vellum to create our waves of water at the bottom. So I've gotten my vellum cut down, and I'm kind of laying it down and measuring it out to see where exactly I want the waves to end up being. I'm going to bring in my little ducky, and I'm going to kind of see where things are and kind of measure it out and figure out exactly where I want everything to be. So I'm going to move my vellum down just a tiny bit so that I don't take up all the space at the top of the card. I'm holding that vellum in place, and now I'm going to come in with my tape runner, and I put some adhesive on the back of the inked up panel, and I'm going to fold that vellum around the panel to create like a little band. So I'll put my tape down with my ATG gun, and now I'm closing my vellum around the back of that panel. Now your vellum doesn't have to be as wide or as large as mine. If you have a smaller piece of vellum, just as long that will work, just as long as it will completely wrap around your inked up panel. So I had a little bit hanging off there, so I trimmed that down. I didn't want that extra hanging around. And now it's time, I'm gonna dry fit my little ducky in again. But before I do that, I want to see which one of these bows I like the best for her hair. These two bows cut out together. It's all in the same die. And one is a little bit like fatter bow, and one is a little bit longer or wider bow. I think that longer one probably could be used for a bow tie on a boy duck. And there is a little round part that goes in the middle of the bow, and it can be used on either bow. And that will also give you a little bit of dimension on your little bow there. So now that we've got our bow assembled, we're going to place our bow in our little ducky's hair, and she's going to be just the cutest little ducky that you've ever seen. Look at her. I used a pink shimmer paper. It's not glitter. It just has a little iridescence to it, a little shimmer to it, and I think it really makes the bow that much cuter. Working on that wing, gonna pop that wing up just a little bit because I'm about to add some adhesive to the back of the duck and slide her into place. So I want her legs and the lower part of her body under that vellum, and that vellum is just thin enough that you can still see her little legs and her body through the vellum. Vellum comes in different thicknesses. Some is a little bit more translucent than others. Some is a little bit more opaque. You just have to see what you have and try it out, what you have in your stash and try it out. So I've got my little ducky down. It's a whole lot of water going on around her. And now I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of the little handle and put that into the beak's mouth, the duck's beak rather. So I want the bottom of the little curved part to look like it's in her beak. So I'm going to slide that under the beak, and then the rest of it will be on top of the beak. So then it really looks like that is in her mouth, in her beak. So cute. I'm going to trim that down just a little bit because I right now I think it's just a little bit too long. So I'm going to trim a little bit off of it. And now there we go. We got a snorkel. She's ready for whatever comes her way. She is just going to keep swimming. So I didn't have a stamp that had a sentiment that I wanted to use. So I just printed one on my computer, printed it on cardstock, stacked it up with a couple of extra pieces of cardstock, and now I'm gluing that to the inked up card panel. And it says, "Just keep swimming." I really love the way this card has come together. Still got to make sure that wing is dimensional. To add some dimension to the entire card, I went ahead and popped up the inked up panel using some foam tape, and I'm placing that on a card base made out of Accent Opaque 120-pound weight cardstock, and with that, our card is complete. This little girl Ducky is so cute. I decided to use a white gel pen to add a few little accents to her body, and that finished off this card. I also made a boy version of this card, so you'll be seeing that in just a moment. Let me know in the comments below which version of the card is your favorite. I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. As always, the products will be listed and linked below, as well as on the coordinating blog post. I would love it if you join me and the TDC family on Instagram and Facebook, where you can find me at The Delta Crafter. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And until next time, everyone, enjoy!